Go at it again one more time. It's just before the holiday, 4th of July. So it's time to drop those bombs. Today what we're going to talk about is basically it's part of corporate compliance policy. But within the corporate compliance policy, we're going to talk about the corrective and preventive actions. Okay? And what comes with corrective and preventive actions also brings about what you call conflict resolution. That's conflict resolutions. Okay. I had a couple officers come at me and they was explaining to me their situations in dealing with supervision. One officer is supervision, and they got an issue with their supervision in the way they handle business. Okay. The mere fact that any individual starts coming at you in a disrespectful manner, you must understand that as your organization, if it's a corporation, based on the amount of people that have working there, falls under the corporation. So they have to have what you call is corporate compliance policies that's registered with the state. Now, with these corporate compliance policy, it basically states to you that if you have an issue, what you could do is you could contact your supervisor. After you contact your supervisor, you then move on to management. Okay. And one officer's situation contacted the supervisor. The supervisor told them, take it to the EEO, the facility's EEO. The facility EEO takes the complaint. After they take the complaint, they're supposed to take it and forward it to corporate compliance officer of the facility. This is what you're supposed to do. You got some people that do it, and then you got some people who just don't. Okay. So, we're going to talk about the situation where the officer filed a complaint against the dirty director who used this vehicle in a threatening manner towards the officer. The mere fact that he used the vehicle in a threatening manner towards the officer was a violation of the corporate compliance policy because it was on the grounds. So, let's look at the fact that he used the vehicle. Now, mind you, he did this to 3 different individuals or 3 officers under his command on 3 separate occasions. Now, you're using a vehicle. Under traffic law, that's 1212. Reckless endangerment, state of New York. That is a Class A misdemeanor. If it's a misdemeanor, it's a crime. It's a crime. Okay. As well is it's a violation of Penal Law Code 12020, reckless endangerment. Okay. Also Class A misdemeanor. So we up to 2. The mere fact that he's a public employee, 19500 official misconduct. The mere fact that he did it on the job and he works for the employer. All right, that puts the employer liable under criminal liability subsection 2020, and he or she holds office criminal liability subsection 2025. Okay. The mere fact of him trying to deprive a person to park in their assigned parking, I'm going to deprive you of it. They have a right to do this. They're employees. They pay for parking. You're going to deprive them from doing that. Okay, now that's kicking in deprivation of a right. That would be under U.S. Code 42, deprivation of a right or privilege. Okay? Now, the key thing is, once the officers made a complaint to supervision, and then supervision sent them to go to the EEO to file their complaint and the EEO takes the EEO's job is to forward to the corporate compliance officer, and if it's worth it, then the corporate compliance officer would take and send it to the DOI. That would be the employee's Department of Investigations, the IGs, and then they would conduct the investigation because of the fact that laws are broken. Okay, but the ongoing internal situation still kicks in. So, based on the fact that the individual used the motor vehicle towards these people and broke all these laws, under the corporate compliance policy, it would now kick in what we call corrective and preventive actions. The preventive actions is actually your employer's guidelines, your employee's handbook. It tells you what you can and what you cannot do. Those are the basic guidelines. But when they violate the guidelines, you got to come up with the corrective action. The corrective actions. Let me use these over here. So if this is the preventive actions, they're telling you, this is the handbook. They're telling you what you can and what you cannot do. And then you still move ahead with your actions, then corrective actions must come into play. So under the corrective actions that must come into play is when they must have a sit down between the parties involved, both parties involved, and their representations. All right, such as their union representation, the whole 9 yards, or legal representation. The next level of that will bring about the conflict resolution. Because there's an ongoing conflict, this individual used a motor vehicle in a threatening manner towards him. So those officers want something done. This officer says that, he spoke to me in such a rude manner, he threatened my life. You know what, I'll do this and that to you. Over a phone? Yeah. Over a telephone, that would be subsection 240.30. Okay? That's 240.30. I think that's a Class A misdemeanor. And threatening physical harm on that. It also falls under menacing. Yes. That would be 120.15. Yes, that would be that. The mere fact that the supervisor who used this vehicle, who was waiting for the officers to get him, that will also be like, I think it's 120, 45, or 25. That would be stalking, because you sitting there and you waiting. When they move, I'm going to get them. Can't do that. It's too many laws broken. So, like I said, we're going to go back to the point where it comes in the conflict resolution. It's already established that there was a conflict going on. The resolution is to bring about an understanding. And so that under the corrective actions, we're going to bring back in the preventive actions. So now that we're talking about this matter, this is not to happen again. If it does, then further steps are to be taken, such as possible termination, such as probably criminal charges. But yet and still, based on the incident that occurred and how severe the incident was, necessary procedures such as filing charges for criminal actions can take place right then and there, no matter what. It's up to the employer. But the key thing is the matter of if it was any laws broken, and if there was a threat. If there was laws broken and there was a threat, then under Mayor Order 16, Executive Order 16, you're supposed to inform the DOI and they're supposed to take the necessary steps to take care of this matter. It's simple. It's just that simple. You don't take and say, well, we're going to push this under the rug. Why? What if the individual just feels that, okay, that one got pushed under the rug, I could do it again? One individual did it at least 3 times. How many times are you going to let this go on? You still let it go on? Somebody breached their contract. Well, moving forward, basically, you like I said, with the conflict resolution, these people have to get a hold of their emotions. You're in the workplace. See, you got one person that's going to use the conflict resolution where they threaten you with a vehicle, and they want you to jump out, and then you come towards them. So now they playing with your emotions. They're going to look, I got a hold of him. Look how he flipping out. See what I did to him? And you're on the videotapes. So now they're going to use these digital videotapes against you because you came out the vehicle. But let's look at the first action. The first action was the individual who caused it, who was in violation of corporate compliance. You got to remember that. The person that was in violation of corporate compliance is the person who did the first action. It's not the respondent. But the key thing is you got to be professional with it and understanding of what they're trying to do and not respond, not take the bait, as we say in football. Stay home. Don't take the bait. I had a situation. The individual wanted me to take the bait. Sat there and watched him. You're in 2 cameras. 2. And you're being recorded. It's not my fault they didn't want to follow their policy and procedures. Hey, you don't have to do it. It's up to you. But yet and still, it's recorded in the whole 9 yards. Now we just got to show those recordings. And they're digital. Now here's the key question. Was they recorded off grounds? Getting back to this. I just spoke to the individuals and these guys was like, what can I do? I'm like, did you file the document? Because one of the individuals, he's like, I filed a complaint and I'm looking at the statute of limitations and they taking too long. Understand this. There is no statute of limitations. Don't let them tell you there's a statute of limitation. Once you file the document, they have to respond. If they do not respond to this document, then they breach their contract. And what contract is that? It's the contract that they set up with the state of New York as far as corporate compliance policy. In order for them to operate their business in the state of New York, they had to have a corporate compliance program, a policy. So they must follow it. If they don't follow it, then they breach their contract. Game over. You breached your contract. So then you get them on what we call gross negligence. This is something you have to do. Under Mayor Order 16, Executive Order 16, you have to report it. You have to respond to it. What do they say? Conflict of interest, abuse of authority, misconduct, corruption. Does any of these ring a bell? There's about 6 or 7 of them that's on there. This is something you're supposed to do. And your failure to respond and deal with it will make you subject to disciplinary actions, even termination. It's not that hard. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand this. You just read it. Now, as far as your representation, as far as your union, they are obligated under their fiduciary duties, contract, their responsibilities, their capacity, relationship, and in representation of a person. Now, you could say the person as far as the person that's a corporation, which is that fictitious entity, all capital letters. Or you could say the person as the natural person, the live human being. Which one are you? Time to wake up, y'all. You got to put these people to the test. You know what I'm saying? It's time to do your homework. You got these smart devices. Download everything. Everything. And then use that against them to make them stand within their boundaries. Keep them in their boundaries on what they're supposed to do, what they're obligated to do, within their job description, within the law, within the rules and regulations of your employment, which is within the corporate compliance. Keep them that way. And on that note, You know the deal. The facts cannot be altered nor denied. Have a wonderful day, and I'm out. Hey, have a safe holiday. All right? Those fools are out there. And my fellow people, they're not too happy right about now. But remember, they are people. You know, it is what it is. So remember, stay safe and behave yourself. Later.